Hi, welcome back to my channel, Manga Hoarder. My name is Laura, and I'm back. Finally, it's been a while. It's been a long time. I haven't made a video since that last one. I haven't hardly been in this room, except for to get comics, and you can tell from behind me that there's actually some space on the shelf. Part of it is because I have been reading a lot of comics, or at least last month. In April, I think I read about 130 volumes of manga. That's just about all I did in April. I couldn't deal with anything else. Since then, I haven't read quite as much. I have been reevaluating, redirecting, whatever, new perspective on things, and what life in confinement means, and dealing with life, etc. So things have sort of changed since then, and that means that I'm back, or at least sort of to a degree. YouTube is not my priority. I have other things going on. I'm still just as busy as I was before. I've never been I never had a lot of activities outside of my home. A lot of the things that I do are here, or at work, and right now work is here, which makes it hard because it's hard to separate work and here. Particularly now, I am working more. I thought maybe there was a chance that I was going to be losing my job because they were being very vague about it, but instead, not only am I sort of feeling very secure about my job, I've also been promoted in my job, and I'm doing more work because I'm one of the few people who has skill in that area. And so, I work primarily sort of in a digital environment, which has been very fortunate because many of my colleagues don't and are now temporarily unemployed. Hopefully will be coming back soon. And I've been very fortunate that I can work at home, and I can continue to do just about everything that I used to do, but from home. The only problem is that I also can continue to work, so I'm having a hard time just separating the two things. And also, I'm sometimes forgetting that I am at work, so I will go and have lunch downstairs, and then I'll sit in front of the TV, and then an hour will go by, and I'll be like, I think I was supposed to be doing something. Oh yeah, I'm at work. I should be going back to work. So then I have a longer day because I've wasted my time, which is fine. So I'm fine. I hope you're fine. The last time you saw me, we were in the middle of a readathon. Unfortunately, I didn't complete it. I hope some of you did, because Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is a great title. But I don't know if any of you completed, because I haven't even been on the computer in a month. I have checked my phone every once in a while, but I don't watch YouTube on my phone. And, I have even sort of been very much off of Twitter. I think the main place that I had been at all is Instagram. Even that, I don't think I've been on there much in the last 2 weeks. I've just, when you're told not to go out, I kind of revert back to my self. The core of myself likes to be alone. And now that I have no obligations to be out and socializing, talking to people, I'm very comfortable being alone, and I forget that I'm supposed to be talking to people and supposed to be communicating with them, and I have quite a few emails I've checked that I need to write, and I haven't talked to, my friends in a month and a bit. I have barely talked to my parents. I'm very much a like to be alone type person, and I'm busy too, which helps with that, I guess. This is a very distracted video because obviously I don't have any plans of what I'm going to talk about. I do have a little bit of a reason why I'm back, though, in particular, partly because of sort of a shift in perspective over the last couple of weeks. I do have some things that I am moving towards. Like I said, YouTube is not my priority, but I am going to continue to make videos when I feel like it, not on a schedule, just when I feel like it. I do still have plans to finish talking about Nausicaa. I didn't quite finish reading it because I had wanted to make a video, I had sat down to make a video, and then the table next to me, which was holding all of my books for videos, collapsed, the books went everywhere, and I just kind of lost any momentum or interest in making videos from that kind of incident. I think it was just too much stress. Didn't want to deal with it. So I have since picked up the books. Today I picked up the table that had collapsed, and now we're going to start doing this again and hopefully get back into wanting to make videos and stuff. I haven't seen anyone make videos in a long time. I think the very first video possibly that I watched, besides sort of that real-time tracker that everyone's watching, was The Return of Immortalium. So I was really excited about that because he's been off of YouTube for several years, before the whole current community of manga tubers is here. So welcome back to him. Go and subscribe if you haven't. I'm looking forward to his content. It was always really informative and interesting, so that's fun. And then the other reason that I'm back is that I have a semi-obligation to talk about something, but I'm also really excited to share, and I don't want to wait any longer. And I had meant to talk to you about this a week ago. This had taken quite a long time in the mail. This is not going to be your experience. Probably we're just having problems with our mail. Everything seems to be coming late. Particularly things coming from the States are really, really struggling, at least for me. I think I've had about 6 or 7 messages from various vendors in the States, including Amazon, and chapters who, from publishers from the States, who have just canceled orders because they cannot send them over. So finally this has come, and I feel bad about not talking about it earlier. It was just not really possible. Well, I could have talked about it last week. Anyway, I was involved in a thing. I was asked to participate in a thing, and that was this, which is a fanzine. This is only the 6th issue, had just arrived in the mail, and I was asked to participate, interview, and write a number of reviews for this particular issue. And I was really excited to do that because this is actually a fanzine that I have been buying and reading and enjoying and learning a lot from, and lots of really cool people are interviewed in this. I don't know, I'm not a cool people, so I feel totally out of place, but really honored to get to do that. Lots of really cool people read this, which is really exciting, kind of embarrassing, because like I said, I'm not a cool people. And so I was really just happy to get to be a part of it, and it was good timing because this was me reviewing things that I buy and wanted to talk up. And then since, of course, this whole world issue, I haven't been buying comics. And I won't be buying many comics going forward for a while. But here's my little feature. It's an interview and a whole pile of reviews. I can't remember how many books are reviewed, a dozen or so, maybe about 15. So if you're interested, you can still buy issues of this. I would recommend it, even if it's not to read me, but to read lots of different things. There's lots of really cool people in here. The cover is illustrated by Dash Shaw. That was really awesome. This is a really good quality fanzine. I wouldn't say that about all the fanzines that I've read. This one in particular, I'm excited about every issue. I'm really happy to have been asked. Super honored to be asked. I would love to participate again when I can buy comics again, and write interviews or reviews, not interviews. I do have some of the issues before. I haven't picked up issue 5 yet, but I will do that soon. But there's lots of really cool people in here, lots of information from different publishers, different translators, and sort of I think there's a couple of academics in here, just sort of talk about research or certain topics. If you are interested in sort of indie comics, particularly, at least the manga side, it'll be more kind of Gekiga works or horror works, but just sort of comics, underground comics in general. This is a really good magazine, and I highly, highly recommend checking it out. I will definitely have the link down below. Since the issue 6, which is the one I'm in, has come out, there's also been a 6.5, which has come out, which I believe he is selling by donation, and your donations are going to go to support an organization that's, I think, helping out during COVID-19, so a COVID-19 related charity. I will link that up. I think it's a good cause. It's definitely worthwhile, and it's a good fanzine. I'm really, really pleased to be a part of it, particularly so early in the issues, because it's going to just continue to get better. The level of quality that they have been right from the get-go, so that's been really, really cool. yeah, so that was awesome to get to do that. One of the reasons why I've been busy for the last little while, because I was really reading quite a lot there in January, and trying to take my time to write some little reviews and things on top of everything else. So I'm free now because I'm not buying comics or writing anything about comics. I haven't been making too many videos, so things have changed a bit in my world, but that was really awesome. The one thing that I really particularly, I think, just found joy in is that because I have a lot of comics or a lot of manga, you know, I have 8,000-ish comics. I don't know the last count. Because we have so many comics in my house, people ask me to do things. And it's one of the benefits of being really careless with my money. So I've been really, really fortunate. You know, I'm just sort of like collecting a bunch of different things that I get to do because of having a lot of comics. You know, I have been photographed for a magazine special. I have been interviewed in a newspaper. I've been interviewed on the radio, and something else as well. And then this, the fanzine. So it's sort of like collecting all these little different bits. And really, the only reason is because I have a lot of comics. So that's really fun and silly, and I love it. And I can't wait till I hear from the next person who wants to talk to me because I have a lot of comics. Like, it doesn't, there's no value in me because there's a lot of comics here, you know? So, it doesn't make me an expert. It doesn't mean that I know a lot. It just means that I like comics a lot. And I'm maybe not the very best with my money. So yeah, I was just really, really pleased of that. So this was really fun. Thank you so much for asking me to do this, and I would definitely like to participate again if there was some way that I could do that. I'd love it because it was fun. I love talking about manga. And then on top of that, because it's been a little while, and yes, I am drastically reducing how much I'm spending on comics. This is not the time in the world to be spending money on something that is not essential. Sort of, because there's a couple of non-essential things here, and you will be able to see them. But I had a little bit of a collecting project right before this whole COVID-19 business. I was going to make a whole video about it. Instead, I'm just going to include it here. And that was, I was collecting, what's that? Nausicaa. Of course I was collecting Nausicaa. I was going to make a video about it during our read-along, so I ended up buying this edition, which you did see. This is the larger trim English edition. It's still in print, and you can still buy it, and it is the one that I recommend over the nice hardcover edition. Hardcover edition is really pretty. This edition is really readable, because it's so floppy, because the because of the trim size, you know, the artwork in Nausicaa is very compact. As you can see, there's a lot going on. It is really benefited from having a large trim, and this is a particularly nice publication for that. So this is a 7-volume or 7-chapter long series. It is worth reading if you didn't participate last month, as much as I didn't participate. I am planning on continuing and making videos. I can't remember if I said that already, but I am planning on making some more videos talking about this again. It's just not going to be quite as on schedule. You'll just see them as they come up. And here's the last volume. The other benefit from this, and I guess I should mention, I think not this volume, I think 6 of the 7 volumes actually have color illustrations in them. They're two-sided, full-page, kind of like pull-out posters. So you've got these really nice pull-outs, which you don't get in the hardcover edition at all. Oh, actually here. So there you go. Yeah, so that's the one I recommend if you're going to buy it. Now, the first edition that I ever read was actually the Perfect Edition, and I hadn't owned it before, so I also ended up buying that. This is only a 4-volume edition, and it's in that regular large trim that Viz likes to publish, so their sort of signature edition are all published in this particular size. It is published in the English reading direction, so that kind of makes things fun. It also has English language sound effects, which I didn't realize until just at this moment, so I will definitely be going through and reading it again with just the English subtitle, English sound effects. So it's volume 2. That's one of the things that I really like about Nausicaa, reading particularly the newer editions, is that it is, they left the Japanese sound effects in, and I think that was really personally valuable. You know, it's fortunate when you are able to read them because you can hear the sound, but I think that typography is so essential to really understanding the imagery or the intent. And I don't think that the translation or the layout artist or cleanup artist or whoever is doing that work, putting those sound effects in, is ever quite as good as what was intended originally, particularly in an action series. Something, you know, that was written in the 1980s. The art is definitely different than going back and adding a digitized sound effect. There's been a few translations lately where I have noticed that the sound effects have been translated into English, which is fine, but the overlay of a digitization, no matter how close you can get it, if the original work was not originally drawn digitally, there's always going to be a mismatch, and it's always going to stand out like a sore thumb. And even I've seen, you know, really high praise to some people where I've thought the exact this was such a mistake. You really need to be doing the hand drawing of putting those sound effects in if you want them in English. Anyway, that's my whole debate about sound effects in English. I don't like them personally, and I prefer to see them not. But I see the value of having them in, and I know it's controversial, so I'll just move on. The next thing that I got, you can tell this is the Nausicaa project, is a storybook. This one came out, I think, at the end of last year, I think? I can't remember. I think it was 2019. I missed it. I hadn't seen it before when I started looking for Nausicaa things. I discovered it. So this is just basically a recap of the film, and it is just screen grabs as well as some very generic text telling the story. It's essentially everything you could imagine from the story, just condensed. And the movie itself is a major condensing of the comic. So this is even more so. This is sort of like something like an early reader or chapter book. It's a little bit higher reading, so I would say like maybe grade 2, grade 3. I'm really interested in maybe finding the Japanese equivalent. I imagine that there's a Japanese equivalent of this. I would love to read it in Japanese. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then speaking of Japanese, I also picked up the 2-volume hardcover special edition that was published in Japanese, and I only just opened it now. I had intended to do it on camera, and then things got screwed up, so doesn't matter, it's still really beautiful. And that's what this is here. This is just a single volume. If I hold up the large trim, which is about the same size as the hardcover that Viz published, you can see this significant size difference. And it's 2 volumes, but they're each in their own sleeve, and you can just see how incredibly beautiful it is. It is sewn in, so you can really read it beautifully. Of course, it's in Japanese entirely, and the illustration is just so crisp and clear. The pages are super thick. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's incredibly beautiful. I'm really pleased with it, so super happy to have that. It may seem a little bit strange to be collecting so many different editions of one title, But Nausicaa was the first manga that I ever read, and seeing as manga is so important to me, it seems really important to have as many editions of that first entry point. Not only that, but Nausicaa is my favorite series, so easily justified. And then the second volume is more kind of a brown cover. It's still really, really pretty. And I really like the matte look of these books. They're huge, really, really worthwhile. I'm looking forward to giving this a try and reading it in Japanese. I've never attempted that before, so I think that'll be really, really nice to do. There's certainly a lot of kanji without furigana. Oh, there's some furigana or kurigana. But my kanji reading is improving, so this might be alright to do, at least slowly. Good project to work on. Plus, I know the story pretty well. I think the religious aspects will probably be pretty hard though, because I don't know that I know too many religious or metaphysical terms, ideology. Seems like pretty complicated vocabulary, but I'm working on it. And then the other thing that I did, oh, there's one more comic somewhere. Now, I should have had a bigger haul, but like I said before, I have been getting a lot of cancellation emails saying they just can't ship or they won't ship. But one title that did arrive, and I am so incredibly pleased. If this had gotten cancelled, I would have immediately found someone else who could ship it to me. This is Yoshihara Tsuge's The Swamp. It's a title I've been wanting to read just about forever. Super influential and important author. I think the reason that it was able to come was because it was from a Canadian publisher. This is from John & Quarterly. I have been waiting for this for a while. It's one of the titles that is mentioned in that 1001 Comics You Must Read Before You Die. So I've known about it for a while and really wanted to read it. It sounds great. I have recently read The Man Without Talent, which I absolutely loved. One of the best reads. When I was doing all of those reviews for Bubbles, that was probably my favorite read. It was great. So I'm so happy to have this. I'm really, really looking forward to it, and it's beautifully published. John & Quarterly makes really, really nice hardcover publications. So that one's going to be great. So that's all of the manga that I've gotten in the last almost 2 months, and all of the Nausicaa I actually got back in about February. So I really haven't been buying manga, and it's different particularly for this channel, but it's not something I haven't experienced before. It's something that I have done in the past, and it gives me a chance to really evaluate whether or not I want a title or whether or not I want to keep collecting something. A lot of titles are just going to go on the back burner. I have looked at a few releases, and you know, before I would have been really interested in buying quite a lot of new things. I think the only thing at the moment, besides a couple of pre-orders for like Rose of Versailles, which is by Udon Entertainment, so that's a Canadian publisher, it should be coming. The other thing that I definitely will have on order is the new Fushigi Yugi. I've been reading it in Japanese, and it's so wonderful. I love Fushigi Yugi, so I cannot wait to read that in English. And then the last thing that I got, just 2 other books. Well, I got some pens and stuff too, but I'm not going to share that. So I ended up buying myself 2 Korean language books. So I am back to learning Japanese, but I decided, you know what, I'm not going to wait any longer for my Japanese to improve before I start other languages. I'm going to start a couple. Korean is one of them. I really want to learn how to read Korean. I have heard that it's not difficult to learn to read Korean, and it's got to be easier than learning kana, which was not hard. So I did buy the Judith Meyer's script hacking book. She has quite a few. I know there's one coming out that I'm really interested in August. I think I pre-ordered it. It's the one on Hebrew. I really want to learn how to read Hebrew as well. So Korean, I thought I would try it out. I hope it's more valuable than one of those learn to read kana books because those are so useless, but I really just wanted to test out her method, because I know she reads a lot of scripts. And then of course I bought just a beginner's Korean book. I don't really need to, or feel like I need to go very far in Korean, but I'd like to know a little bit, and you always hear about how Korean and Japanese are similar. So I'd like to be able to see what does that mean, at least sort of at a superficial level. I don't really have intentions of going too far with it. Japanese is still my priority and my interest. I'm also planning on starting French. I did buy a French book, mostly because I'm Canadian, partly because I did take French in school and I want to see how much I've retained, if anything. I also am really interested looking in, I am going to look into Hebrew, Blackfoot, which is the main language spoken by the Indigenous people who live in my community. So that would be really cool. And there are some books that the library has on it digitally, which is really cool. And then I also want to look at Latin, Latvian, because that's my family background. I had something else on there and I can't remember. Anyway, I have a little list of languages, but I'm going to focus on Japanese first, Korean and French second, and then if I have any time, then I will look at the others. Even if just look at it, I just am curious about language, and I've always wanted to look at language, and I decided to just jump in. Who cares if it takes me forever? Japanese is already taking me forever. It's not going to take me any longer if it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm just going to do it. So that's what my life is like right now. I am studying by myself. I'm reading comics by myself. Maybe I will be making some videos. I haven't quite decided. I do have video topics that I want to finish off, but I don't know what the schedule is. And considering how life is and stuff, I don't really want to lock myself into a schedule with that. So yeah, that's what's going on. If you have any takeaway from this long rambly video, that would be to go and buy the Bubbles fanzine. Check it out, it's really cool, particularly if you're interested in more than manga. There's manga content usually every time, but more than manga, you know, just comics in general, and what makes comics cool. That's basically what it's about, and I love it, so do that. Anyway, I think that's it for me today. It's been a long time since I've made a video. I don't know what I ended up saying. Long and rambly. I hope you're all doing well. I hope your personality allows you to be comfortable, locked in at home. I hope that you are generally comfortable, healthy, that you're not worried about your friends and family. Yeah, I hope things are going well for you. It's a weird time. This weird time isn't going to quit anytime soon. We just have to be patient, be kind, and I will see you in the next one, whenever this is. Bye for now.